We have so many stories in our lives, but our stories are not always heard. On the Hear My True Story podcast, we tell our own true stories.
Before the white car parked, our head teacher had scattered. Looking at him, I could only see his tie that was flying backwards, waving at us, and he disappeared in thin air.
I want to share my life story. I want to share my voice with the people because I know that just a small joke I can tell through this podcast, it will make someone smile.
When you ask me what I fear most in life, I would definitely respond to you and say it's fear itself.
We are fighting for togetherness. We are fighting for equal rights. We are fighting to end injustice.
You don't have to be a storyteller or writer because, guess what? Life writes the best stories.
Hear my true story.
There was a day I was at work. Oh my God, I felt so proud of myself. I felt like I know how to speak the language. So a few minutes later, I had talked to the kids about something and I was feeling so good. Then we went in the garderobe, so this place where we dress up and change clothes. So a kid comes and asks me, Carol, why do you, warum sprichst du so komisch? And I was like, the kid is asking me, why do I speak so weirdly? And I'm like, for a moment, I feel so proud of myself. And this kid comes and tells me that I speak weirdly. That shattered me for a moment. I was like, I know that children are very honest people. They are so honest.
There's a time when I was reading a book for a kid in the kindergarten where I work. And, I was supposed to say, Shun. I said, Sean.
Yeah.
The kid looked at me. I was like, Otako, Shun? I said, Shun. I was like, okay, Shun. I got to answer. Yeah, I said, Sean. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, but thank you. Yeah, that's so nice.
This is your favorite time of the week with your number one podcast.
Hear my true story.
Yeah, our dear listeners, welcome back again on Hear My True Story podcast. Yes, it is me, your host, Otako, and I want to tell you I'm so excited this wonderful week to have you again on the podcast. And truthfully, I want to say thank you for always supporting our podcast. It really means a lot to us. Those who write us, those who send us messages, those who give us feedback, that is so wonderful. We are always happy to hear from you, to know how you are finding our episodes. Yeah, what is so special about today is that we have a guest. Yes, it's not the first time this guest has been on the podcast. Of course, there's a moment when the guest was also a co-host of the podcast, and then things didn't really work out with time. But perhaps maybe this time there'll be more time, and she would be available once in a while to share with us stories, experiences, and also maybe to lead or to moderate our conversations on the podcast. Yes, I'm really happy to say thank you for always joining us, and it is me, your host, Otako. Yes, before we begin, I want to say
this week's special guest on your favorite podcast.
Hear my true story.
Yes, my dear guest, I want you to maybe introduce yourselves so that people get to know who is talking to them behind a microphone, or maybe behind a tablet, or maybe behind a phone. Perhaps that is something that would be great. Yeah.
Hi, thank you, Otako. My name is Carol Chiwanuka. I come from Uganda. I live currently in Germany, Stuttgart. Yeah, basically that's it.
Without wasting time, our dear listeners, we are going to go direct to our conversation with our guest, Carol Chiwanuka. Yeah, an educator in Germany, at the same time, a Ugandan living in Germany. Well, we are in the month of February. what is so special about this month is the Black History Month. So as a podcast, we said, well, why don't we maybe invite our guests that we have worked with, the Black community in Germany, to share their experiences, to share what they think about integration in Germany, what is all about language in Germany. I mean, do they take Germany right now as a home or maybe as their second home? So today we shall have such a conversation, and perhaps if you enjoyed the previous episodes with our previous guests, this is going to be so special. That's why I say stay and listen to our wonderful conversation. Yeah. So, Caro, I don't want to really start a lot, but I just want to ask you a question. Do you have any memorable experience that you remember you as a person? Because you said talk a lot of German, and you find it is also difficult for you to maybe explain things in German. I mean, explain things in English, but you know these things in German. So for that reason, I want to know, do you have any memorable experience or challenge you faced while learning this language, the German language?
The German language is a very, very difficult language. When you compare it to the English language, I grew up speaking English. English is like my second mother language. I learned English when I was a kid, like in school. It is also our official language in Uganda. So I started learning German when I was like around 20 years, I would say. And it was quite very difficult. I learned it in Uganda. My first German words, I learned them in Uganda. And during this time, it was an interesting time because with this, I could meet new people. I could talk to new people. During this time. So when I came to Germany, it was quite different. In Uganda, we learned Hochdeutsch. So this is like the simplified German. Yeah. So when I came to Germany, I landed in the south of Germany, where people speak Schwäbisch. Schwäbisch is like a twisted language, a twist of a tongue, I would say. Like if the people who come from the south of Germany speak to the people who come from, let's say, the north, they understand themselves, but the accent is kind of different. So imagine you came from Uganda with A1 or B1 and you land into South Germany, where people speak Schwäbisch, where someone says, you say ein bisschen, like a little bit, and the other one says bissle, So I was always confused. I think people thought that I was stupid because I did not understand them. But with time, I started learning it. I started learning Schwäbisch. I also started saying bissle, gay, those small words. Yeah, but learning German was also interesting because we could make fun of it. Like there are some words which were very interesting. We would make fun of it. Like as my friends, let's say, I used to call my friends Frau or Fraulein because it just sounded so beautiful. But I also had difficulties where I could listen more, but I would speak less than what I listen. I understand more and I speak less. I also have so many difficulties up to now. I am 4 years in Germany right now, but at some point I don't understand what I'm saying myself. Like I could tell a story, and at some point I'm like, do you understand me? Because I'm also not understanding myself. It's not my language, but sometimes I feel comfortable speaking it because now I've grown to love it. At first, I never used to love it. I just was like, there's nothing else to do, so I will learn the language, So it was just a matter of fact, I'm just learning it. Yeah, but right now I've learned to love it.
I want to cut you. Yeah. You say that you learned to love it. What made you to love the language? Maybe something that you would like to share with the audience, with the listeners. What makes you love the language? And what could make you also hate the language? Because you had both of them. You hated it at some point and then decided to love it.
So I would start with hating it. I hated it because it sounds very aggressive. Like it really sounds, when someone is talking, you would think that someone is like quarreling, someone is annoyed of you at first. For me, that's how it sounded. So I hated it. Like, this is not me. I'm not a very annoyed person. I'm a happy person. But the more I learned it, the more I started loving it, like sounding different, when, let's say when I'm with a Ugandan community and then you just say something like, let's say gay, and they don't understand that. So I feel cool speaking something that people don't understand. Yeah. But also that I can communicate, I can talk to the people who live here, since I chose to live here in Germany. So that's why it's, for me, I started loving it because it makes my life easier while staying here. Yeah.
Wow. That brings me to the next question. After you say that you loved it because now you can play with the language, meaning that you have understood how the language plays around when you're in your community of fellow Ugandans, fellow Africans living in Germany, and then maybe they're from another part of Germany, and then you play with the language, with the dialect, and they can't understand you, and then you laugh, and then you're like, well, it's okay, let me speak the German that you understand, which is the Hochdeutsch. Yeah. So that brings me to the next question. How did you manage to overcome the barriers? Because you say it personally, now that you speak it very well, you feel connected to the community, to the society you are living in. But how did you overcome these barriers so that you are able now to feel really connected to the society you are living in, to the community you are living in, to the place of work you are in, to the friends, colleagues? How did you overcome the barrier of this language?
Well, I tried to learn it in school, and I'm not someone who follows rules. I really don't like rules. So when I did B2 for 2 years, I was scared to go to C1, because for me, I felt like that is going to be more rules, more difficulty. But what I did is that I surrounded myself with native speakers. I have a few friends. I could go to, let's say, get-togethers. I could go to parties where I'm only speaking the language. So this made it for me a bit easier to integrate more with the people and also to learn the language more. Right now, I can understand jokes, not fully. It is very difficult to understand the jokes of a language where you're not born. People can make a joke and everyone is laughing and you're looking like, what is wrong? Why are you laughing? And you don't understand. Right now, I would say that I understand, let's say 30%. I won't say 50% because that will be too much. 30% of the jokes, at least I understand. But I surrounded myself with the people who speak the language, but also not just any person, but rather the people who are like me in the way, people who have the same interests like me. That's the kind of people that I surrounded myself with. Yeah.
Okay. So those were your strategies. Finding ways of connecting to the community, to the people who speak the language better than you, and also perhaps taking it in a positive way. Because as you said, someone can make a joke in the language that is not your mother tongue, and they laugh. And if you're not understanding it, and you're in this situation where you are the only black person at that moment, maybe not understanding, and they're laughing, you may take it in a negative way. You may feel like, oh, maybe they're talking about me. Yeah, but perhaps you took it in a positive way. You're like, no, I think I need to just improve my language and be able to also enjoy the conversation, to be really integrated in the community. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you would literally still feel out of place, I would say. You would feel like you're not understood, or you don't understand the people that you surround yourself with. But for me, that was not something that made me push back, because I just felt like, I'm in a foreign country and I chose to be here. No one chose it for me. So I'm going to still fight. I'm going to still try to understand the people. Of course, there are those moments where you feel like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I even with these people? I should maybe just go back home, talk to the Ugandans. We make our jokes, let's say, well away right now. And so like those things. But I never thought that it is just for me. I'm not someone who gives up very easily. So for me, it was not it was not a choice to say now I'm quitting, I'm going home without understanding what people are saying. I would rather start a fight and tell people don't talk about me. I'm here, but at least I would want to understand, hey, what is that? Why are you laughing? And then they explain it to me. And then the next time that such a thing happens, such a joke comes about, I will understand. I will laugh too because I know the meaning and I know how it sounds. Yeah.
Enjoying this episode? Leave a review now.
Hear my true story.
Yeah, I really get that because language is sort of limits you from understanding the culture if you don't really speak it really well. And I mean, I can understand it's quite easy to give up. Personally, I mean, my listeners know this story where I failed to pass C1 for many times. As long as I was speaking the language better, I was failing like for around 5 times. I couldn't get my certificate of C1. I didn't give up. And then I got it. But when I got it, it amplified my self-esteem that I can't speak the language. Nowadays, I don't care. When I speak and you don't understand my language, I'm like, it's okay, Galvas. Ich habe mein C1. Das ist okay. Ich musste kein mehr Unterricht von Deutsch zu haben. I can speak the language. When I'm at work, I'm able to really speak it too. Yeah. And also another thing that I found that self-esteem, where I get it from, when I speak with natives and they understand me, I get that positive feedback. Yeah, I'm happy about this. But there's something that really makes me also really like the fact that now I can play with the language. I can do also as a translator. I support at my place of work when there's Elterngespräch, how do you call it in English? When there's a parent talks that we do in our field of educators, and the parent doesn't understand the language, but I'm here, I understand this English, and also I understand the German. Well, why not support the parent to be included into our activities so that they know what is needed? So I'm there, not just for the parent, but also for the children. Me, like for example, many kids speak German, and then me, I bring games with English, and then they're happy to learn a few words of English, and then like, wow, there's a time also I did a song in my Muttersprache, in my mother tongue, with the kids. Where I sing Babangalo, and they like to say the word Babangalo. Yes, and they ask, what does that mean? And I try to explain to them. Yeah. So language is quite a very interesting topic where you can play with it the moment you learn the first language that you came in the country, like Germany, and then you can understand how to really play with the language. That's how my feeling. But now I don't know about you, because you mentioned about it now, you feel really freely. Is there a special moment that you said, well, I have learned the language, I don't need to pressure myself anymore?
I think sometimes I feel like I really know less German, really. But the Germans will always say, oh, you speak very good German, blah, blah, blah. But seriously, for me, there are very many moments where I feel like, boah, I really need to learn more. But I don't want to learn, I just don't want to learn, but I feel like I need to learn more. Yeah, there are moments where I feel like, yeah, I really know how to speak. There was a day I was at work. Oh my God, I felt so proud of myself. I felt like I know how to speak the language. So a few minutes later, I had talked to the kids about something and I was feeling so good. Then we went in the garderobe, so this place where we dress up and change clothes. So a kid comes and asks me, Caro, warum sprichst du so komisch? And I was like, the kid is asking me, why do I speak so weirdly? And I'm like, for a moment, I feel so proud of myself. And this kid comes and tells me that I speak weirdly, that shattered me for a moment. I was like, I know that children are very honest people. They are so honest. And I was like, yes, I speak like that because I don't come from Germany. I come from Uganda. In Uganda, we don't speak German. We speak English and Luganda. And the kid was like, oh, that's why you speak like that. I'm like, yes, that's why I speak like that. I speak with an accent. And she's like, okay. But for this moment, I felt like my world had shattered. I felt like I don't know how to speak the language.
I mean, because you're an educator, I'm also concluding this year to become a fully certified educator. But working with children with language, I don't know, because you have shared that experience of yours, there's a way it makes you always to be reflective. Yeah? Because you realize, okay, the children have understood me. These are my clients. These are the people I'm supposed to support in their development. And language is a very big aspect in our area of working with children because they need to develop well in their speaking a language, whatever language. It could be German, it could be English, but also for them to understand that the world has so many languages. So at that point, I feel this child got to understand, well, there's so many people in the world that speak different languages. It's not only my Muttersprache that is Deutsch, that people speak German. So everywhere, everyone speaks German. I mean, from my perspective, I would say you did an educating session with that child to understand, well, there's another language and there are other accents and these people speak differently, but there are so many languages. That's the bit of it.
I do sometimes, let's say, when we do the Morgenkreis, like the morning when we sit in the circle.
How do you say Morgenkreis of English? The morning circle. Yeah,
it's like that.
Yeah, the
morning
circle.
Yeah, yes, where we sit down and we greet each other. Where at least you get to see face to face who is here, who is there today, and in that circle, so we sing for the dolls, we sing for the puppen, like the dolls which the kids have brought to take them to bed. So what I do sometimes, after a period of time, I say, okay, today now we are going to sing a Luganda song. So sometimes I sing a Luganda song.
Which song is that?
Yeah, and then we sing while we are swinging that puppe, like the dolls. There, and then after we lay them to bed, and sometimes they ask what it means, and then I tell them what the song means. But usually it's like tulo tulo kwate omwana potom kwate ngoli mulogo, so such a thing. And the children enjoy it because we also have someone from Chile, so she also sings something in Spanish, and we sing some kid comes, like the father comes from Czech Republic, so the kid also knows a song. So we make it like a foreign day day where everyone gets a chance to sing an international song.
Well, I like that idea. I think it's really nice to have an international Sprachtag. Where everyone speaks a language. And this, your point has reminded me of something. There's when I was having with the kids where by Mittag Essen, like lunchtime, So we sit on the table and every kid does their own. They serve themselves food, and then after also they sit and then they say, today we want to sit with Otako. And then they, okay, so which table wants to sit with me? Then I go there. I serve myself too, and I sit. And then as we are eating, one kid says, I can speak some words of English. And then another kid was like, wow, me, I can speak Polish. Yeah, I can speak Russian. I can speak, there was one who was from another, South America there. Then there's one who said, I can speak some Asian Sprache, which was like he was coming from Nepal and that. Then one was like Indian was I can speak some Indian Sprache, and I was like, okay, now what should you do? Let's just say hello in these different languages. We are eating, but everyone is sharing how they say hello in their language. And then I said, I speak my mother tongue, Lusoga. I say hello. Then I had to say hello in Lusoga. So in that time, we are just eating food, but we are sharing with the kids to understand, okay, we are really so intercultural in the group. Many kids from different regions of the world speaking different languages, and also appreciating the fact that, my language, I can say hello, and my other friends repeat it. That's a thing that I realized, and from there, then we had a day in the circle, and then we also had that Sprache Kreis, where everyone says a word in the language they understand. Hello. Polish, maybe Russian, maybe they speak English, maybe they speak some Danish, or maybe they're speaking a language from Somalia, maybe a language from Nigeria, Uganda. I was there, I was speaking, and it was really nice. And I really love the fact that our role as Black migrant educators, we bring a lot of resources with us.
Yeah, that's true.
Like language.
They learn a lot from us.
And also the fact that we go through these language challenges of learning it. When I meet a child, there are many children who come and they're speaking their mother languages. The way I reflect how they are going through learning the new Sprache, which is German, is quite different, because I understand what they're learning in another language, but they are good at their mother tongue. They can speak a nice language in their mother tongue, and they can tell their own stories. That's the beauty of language, when you understand it very well.
Yeah, I also, when I just came, I was working with the children in a kindergarten, and I learned a lot of German there. Like most of my German that I speak right now, I learned it in the kindergarten, because the children would correct me all the time when I made a mistake. And sometimes it was really annoying, because even if you just make a small mistake, they're like, no, it is said like this, But that helped me so much to gain the confidence to also repeat my mistakes, and also repeat, like say it correctly, because at least the children would give me time, and they're saying, no, you pronounce it like this, and they're pronouncing it slowly until I get it. For me, that was some precious moment for me to learn the language.
Yeah, Pastor, I get you. I can really relate with you. There's a time when I was reading a book for a kid in the kindergarten where I work, and I was supposed to say Shun. I said Sean.
Yeah.
The kid looked at me. I was like, Otako, Shun. I said Shun. I was like, okay, Shun. I got to the other. I said Sean. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, but thank you. Yeah, that's so nice. Shun. Yeah, and he said, yeah, it was okay. Yeah, I learned from the kid to understand this language, because they also come with resources. People expect that we being adults, we understand everything. Yeah, but it is also a perspective. If you as an individual, you take yourself that you learn from people, egal whether they are small ones or big ones, you can learn something from them. That's the thing. And there's a time when we were outside and said, that's Hund. And the kid was, nah, they are Hund.
He also reminded me, I was also reading a book, and the kid, and I said there was a word, very difficult word. I needed a week to learn this word. The name, how the baby frog is called in German. So that it's called Kaulquappe. I needed a week.
I can't say that. I need to practice this.
The child was getting on my nerves just because of this word. The kid comes in the morning and she's like, Kaulquappe, and I tried to pronounce it. I don't know what I was saying. Kaulquappe, It was so annoying. But after some time I learned it. And now when I read this book, when someone asks me to read this book, I always think of this child. Always, because she's the one who made me learn how to read this word. And in this whole book, this word comes about. Kaulquappe. Kaulquappe.
I'm not going to try it for my listeners, because I'll need also longer to learn that word.
Yeah, but I learned it.
Okay, yeah. To continue, it was nice to share these moments, because we don't have a lot of time. I just want to conclude this part of the language. What would you advise someone trying to overcome the challenges of learning a new language? It could be German, it could be Danish, it could be Swedish, it could be maybe French, it could be maybe Luganda, it could be Lusoga. What advice would you give such a person?
Well, I would advise this person to speak. it doesn't matter if they are speaking the wrong words or the correct words, because they will always be corrected by the person who is listening to them, the person who is the native speaker, for instance, even someone who is not the native speaker but at least has learned the language before them. They will always correct them. And also to integrate with the language speakers, the mother tongue speakers, to make conversations, watch movies in this particular language with subtitles in the normal language. Either you can put subtitles in your language, or you put subtitles in the language that you're willing to learn. That also helps so much, because it helps you to read fast, and it also helps you when, let's say, when you're watching movies in the language that you're trying to learn, it helps you to improve your listening skills of the language. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Carol, that was so nice to hear from you about the language aspect of it. Well, my dear listeners, because of time, I just want to tell Carol to maybe say a last word in that part of the language. And before we say end now for this episode, part 1 of our conversation with Carol, could you maybe say a last word for our dear listeners?
Ja, kann ich. Also, liebe Zuhörer, ich danke euch, dass ihr da seid, und ja, ich freue mich, auf die Podcast zu sein. Genau.
Ja, so kannst du das auch auf Luganda entweder so sprechen. Ich habe
ja,
Leute.
Ich kann versuchen.
Ja, versuch mal auf Luganda.
Okay. Abawuliriza abafa abaagalwa, mbeebaza nnyo okubeera ku mukutu guno ogwa podcast yaffe ennungi. Mbeebaza, ndi musanyufu nnyo okubeera ku podcast eno. Yeah.
Mach das bitte auf Englisch.
Okay. Dear listeners, thank you so much for listening, and I'm very happy to be here to take this opportunity. Yes, I don't know what to add there.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Carol. I'm really, really happy to have you today, that you had your wonderful conversation about the power of language and how language plays a lot when someone decides to move to any country, to any place where they decide to migrate to. So for now, because of time, as me, your host, Otako, I want to say thank you for listening to Hear My True Story podcast, and I would just like to say bye for now.
We not only have voices for a podcast, but also faces for YouTube. Don't miss your next episode. Hear My True Story.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, music by Edwin Matovo, hosted and produced by Otako. Subscribe to our podcast for more stories and visit us on our website, hearmytruestory.com, for more stories. All the links are listed in the show notes of this podcast.